Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. Okay, our Parsha today is Parsha Re'eh in the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 11. But before we do, let us do our reading of the Psalm and then reading of the, first we do the petition and then we'll look at the underlying message. Psalm 4. Hear me when I call, O Elohim of my righteousness. You have enlarged me when I was in distress. Have loving kindness upon me and hear my prayer. O you sons of men, how long will you turn my respect into shame? How long will you love worthlessness and run after what is deceptive? Selah. But know that Yud-Heh-Vah has separated him that is merciful for himself. Yud-Heh-Vah will hear when I call to him. Stand in awe and do no sin. Meditate when you lie on your bed and hold your shalom. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in Yud-Heh-Vah. There be many that say, who will show us any good? Yud-Heh-Vah will lift up the light of your countenance upon us. You have put gladness in my heart more than in the time that their grain and their wine increased. I will both lay down in shalom and sleep, for you Yud-Heh-Vah only make me dwell in safety. Okay, so we'll focus on Psalm 4 and I'll come to Psalm 4. But before we do, I'd like to just do a little petition. Father, we thank you, we bless your holy name. We thank you that you have taken us through the week, provided our food, our clothing, and that you have provided us shelter and provided our needs for going out and for coming back in. And you protected us as we go out, and you protected us as we come in. I thank you. I bless your holy name, and I petition, Father, that you will protect us, guard us, safeguard us, and in due course you will take us back into the land that you have promised our forefathers. Baruch Hashem. Toda Rabbah. Amen. Amen. Now, on the economic front, in America, I guess there were some meetings with the Federal Reserve, and they were talking about perhaps putting up interest rates, tightening some more. I think on the UK front, the reports on the inflation were a little bit on the negative side, and they may also be looking at increasing the rates. Russia had some problems in their economy with their ruble falling down, so they put their interest rates up by 3.5% in an emergency to stop their currency from devaluation. And I think that's, for now at least, what I know, that has stabilized their currency against the dollar. Now, by all means, right now the dollar is still the strongest currency out of the bunch. And if you take a basket of currencies, dollar is still on the top, followed maybe by the euro, and then maybe by the British pound. And if you look at the Chinese yuan, that took a little knocking because one of the big Chinese housing real estate firms, there was news that it could go down under, could go bankrupt, and if that went bankrupt, that will be several $1 billion of loans that will be affected, of banks and potential investment of people. So that caused a knock-on effect both in America, I guess, and European stock markets taking a hit. You may have seen a couple of days ago that Bitcoin and Ethereum took a hit, went down some as a result of all these kind of news that came out. So that's on the economic front. I would advise you, this is just an advice, not a scare thing. My advice is for you, if you can and are able to afford to do so, is to keep some food in your house, food that doesn't rot. Talking about things like rice, perhaps flour, items that will stay a long time without going off. They last 6 months, a year, 2 years without problem. So this is my suggestion that you do that as a result of what is happening around us and in the world. I will not say any more than that. Other than that, I would suggest that scripture. Now, coming back to the scripture, our Pasha or Torah portion is the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 11, and it's called Re'eh. And it says here in verse 26, "Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of Yahoshua your power, which I command you this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yahoshua your power, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day to go after other powers or other gods which you have not known. And it shall come to pass when Yahoshua your power has brought you into the land where you are going to possess it, that you shall put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim and the curse upon Mount Ebal, and they not on the other side, Jordan, on Jordan, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaani, which dwell in the wilderness plains over against Gilgal, beside the terebinth trees of Moreh." Okay, so I'll explain that in a little second, what that actually means. Here God is set before you a curse and a blessing. Now, He also set before you that if you will listen to the command that He gave you this day. Now, this day, the command that was given, of course, the statutes and the judgments in the Torah, which I believe that, and I could be wrong, probably not, but I could be, a lot of people don't follow today. They go this way, they go that way, they go all over the place. They're chasing after spiritualists, maybe they're chasing after some other people for their benefit, blessing, but they're not going to find them. Okay, now I'm going to come back to Psalm that I read earlier, because I think this is imperative we understand it. It is very relevant to your lives, and if without understanding it, you're just searching but not finding your answers. It says here in verse 2, or I should say verse 4 even. Let's talk about verse 1. "Hear me when I call, O Elohim of my righteousness. You have enlarged me when I was in distress. Have a loving kindness upon me and hear my prayer." Okay. What times do we normally pray? Okay, even though the times are not stipulated in the books of Moses, Torah, generally speaking, the custom that was adapted, whether right, whether wrong, the custom that was adapted by the people and adhered to was that the Jews prayed 3 times a day, which would be the 3 different times in the temple where people came together to meet. So, one time in the morning, I guess you might call it the opening of the temple, dawn, when the priests gathered together to open the temple doors, and the menorah, the lamp was lit up, and perhaps new oil was added to it, and a new priest, one of the priests that was selected out of a lot, would add the oil and then add the light to it. Even though it was lit up, they'll still add a light as a symbol of lighting it. And it says here that so the prayer time, I guess when I say prayer time, it means that what times you come together before God was morning, dawn time. Then you would have midday, roughly, and then you would have afternoon around 3 o'clock, between 3 and 4 hour time today. So it says here that here the psalm writer, which was King David, questions, "O you sons of men, how long will you turn my respect into shame? How long will you love worthlessness and run after what is deceptive?" So today, many people in the world today, they run after what I said earlier. They might run after their spiritualist, their, I don't know, their guru, their guide. The least of which they run after is obeying, or at least trying to understand the instructions in the books of Moses. Okay? And it says here also that stand in awe in verse 4 of the Psalm and do no sin. Now, what does sin here mean? Sin doesn't mean that you are trying to go out and kill somebody or you're trying to steal from somebody. We're not talking about that kind of avera or that kind of violation of the laws of God. We're talking about here sin meaning where you miss the mark, something you desire, but you do not get it because you miss it and because you don't know how to get it. And here it says meditate when you lie on your bed and hold your shalom. So what does that mean, meditate when you lie on your bed? Okay, this is a very important point, and maybe I'll only say this once and not keep repeating it every week, is that when you go to your bed, that is the time that you exercise your imagination. Imagination is the means by which we ascend to God. Now, there is a passage in the Torah in which we are told that Jacob put his head on a stone. He was traveling. He put his head on a stone, and then he fell asleep, and he then started to dream. And in his dream, he ascended up. He saw, angels ascending, and he saw angels descending and then ascending. So he saw these angels. He saw a ladder. He saw this ladder also, that the ladder was reaching into heaven, and that there was God above in the heavens. This is all, the whole story is caged in metaphor and meaning that we have to derive and understand. And we'll look at the metaphor and meaning, but I want to bring you to a time of Ezra the prophet and Ezra the scribe. There was a time when Ezra, and I may have to go there to illustrate the point, that in the 7th month, in the book of Nehemiah, in that book, we are told that in the 7th month, first day, remember what that would be? That would be the month of the festivals, right? Like we are actually approaching it next month, September. It'll be around about September time period. And it will be the time period, it's verse chapter 8 of the book of Nehemiah, and it says, all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the mine gate, the water gate, and they spoke to Ezra the scribe to bring the scroll of the Torah of Moshe, which Yahoshua had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the Kohen, the priest, brought the Torah before the congregation, both of men, women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the 7th month. Now, what is that? Month of Tishri? Around about September, let's say. And it would be the time of what? The Feast of Trumpets. And it would be soon to follow the Feast of Yom Kippur, and then followed by the Feast of Tabernacles. 3 festivals joined together, back to back. This is going to happen next month, as you know. Between our time period of would be the September and October time period. Now, I would have to give me a moment, please, and I will double check, and I can then give you some guidance in terms of, days. So we are looking at, let me go to the month of September, and September this year, let's see, Rosh Chodesh or Rosh Hashanah, we see that in this month, the first day of Tishri, the first day of the month of 7th month, in the month of September falls on the 19th of September. Okay, that's on a Tuesday next month. That would become the Festival of Trumpets. It's also known as the Feast of Noah, the Festival of Noah. So that's called Yom Teruah, or the Festival of Trumpets, where you just sound any trumpet, or you can just pray to God and give thanks. Followed that with, on the evening of 25 of the month of September, 25 September would be the evening of Yom Kippur, which is the fast for the 24 hours. The fast begins and the fast ends the next night on the 26th of September, and then the festival, is concluded of Yom Kippur. Okay, followed through that with this year October the 3rd. October the 3rd, we're going to have the day 1 of the festival of Sukkot, which we call Tabernacles, and that's going to run through to day 8 days of festival, which is the 10th of October. So 3rd to the 10th. Okay, mark those for October 3rd, October 10th. Going back, the September month you want to mark for the Festival of Trumpets is 19th September, and I would highly encourage you, if you're not ill, if you're not on medication, I will highly encourage you keep the fast, and I'll tell you why in a second. I would encourage you to keep the fast on the 25, 26. Why do I encourage you to do that? Is it because of hunger strike? No, it's not because of hunger strike or trying to make you suffer. No, it's nothing to do with that. It actually, the fast is very beneficial. Even if you're on medication, I would encourage you to take your medication, maybe just with water, and still try to fast some. Maybe fast for 5-6 hours if you're on medication. And if you're not on medication, then fast. If you're finding it difficult to do a 25, it's a long time. I appreciate it. I'm not, I'm not here to punish you and say, suffer for the sake of God. I'm saying that. I'm saying that you should fast with water if you can. Try to fast with water throughout the period. 25-hour period, fast with water. Don't take juices, no sweetness. Just water and maybe a little pinch of salt, very slight. Put in the water if you want. Don't have to, just that if you want to. And fast for the 25 hours. What that will do, it will cleanse your body of impurities. It will cleanse your stomach, it will cleanse your intestines, it will cleanse your whole body. Let me tell you something of interest which you may not know. If you fasted for 3 days straight, using water, what they call the Esther fast. If you fasted for 3 days, I don't care what age you are, I don't care if you're 100 years old, but if you fast for 3 days, on the 3rd day, and this is water fasting, by the way, and some people may have the capability to do without water, but let's just say water fasting. On the 3rd day, your body removes all the dead cells from your system, all the defective and dead cells. By the way, this is supposed to be science, and I'm not here to promote science, but I'm just telling you what happens. Your body removes all the dead cells, disease cells, they're all removed. And then what the body does on the 3rd day, proximate 3rd day, the body produces stem cells. That is the time the stem cells are produced. The stem cells, what their function is to repair your organs, repair any part of your body that was diseased, that had a problem. They will repair it. They will actually make you younger. Stem cells also produce youth. So how that works is generally every 7 years our body can renew itself back to complete person. 14 or 15 or 17 trillion cells that we have can all renew themselves in 7 years. But you can speed up the process. The way you speed up the process is you do it in 3 days. You do a 3-day water fast, and your whole body will renew itself. On the 3rd day, it will produce a vast number of stem cells, and the stem cells will be terrific to not only to make you younger, but also to replenish your body with any disease cells will be removed, because they'll die. Because the disease cells, they need nourishment. They need some kind of acidity in your body, some kind of stuff in your body to live. Because they won't get the acidity through food, they won't get that. They won't be able to survive. They will all die away. On the 3rd day, they are dead. Then your body has to produce new cells, fresh cells, stem cells. So if your heart has got problems, it'll repair your heart. If your kidneys got problems, it'll repair your kidneys. Your liver got problems, it'll repair your liver. Your intestines will repair your intestines. You will be completely renewed after 3 days. Did you know that? I encourage you to check it out, what I just told you. Google it and see for yourself. Does your body, you may not find all the articles in Google, but you will find that there is a process that goes through our systems that after 3 days of fasting, our old cells die and new cells are produced, new stem cells are produced. And the stem cells are what rejuvenates our body. And if you can do that, if you can manage that, you will be able to produce new cells that will be hugely, tremendously beneficial for you. Okay? That's if you can do it. I'm not saying that you have to. This is just piece of information that you can. Now, Ezra, we are told in chapter 8 in the book of Nehemiah that he gave understanding to the people. And who gave understanding? Because they were the priests over there, the Levites. They explained to the people what they are to do, how they are to do it, etc., etc. You know, there's a whole list. I encourage you to read chapter 8 of Ezra, not the book of Ezra, but the book of Nehemiah. I encourage you to read chapter 8 when you get time, okay? And I wanted to bring you to, we'll come back to the Psalm in a minute, but I also wanted to bring you to a point of Jesus, one point in Jesus' life that I mentioned in the New Testament, where in John chapter 9, Jesus healed a man who was blind. And it says that in chapter 9, and he went along and saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And then Jesus answered and said to them, neither the man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so the works of Elohim, works of God, might be displayed in him. As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. So at this point, Jesus makes some little salve from the ground, puts it in the man's eyes, and he heals him, and the man is healed. Now, what's the point of this story? Again, this story is, not talking about whether the story is true or false, or whether it's just a metaphor, or whether it really happened. But the story is shaded in what I describe as mystery. It's shaded in mystery and also metaphor. So metaphorically, when we are born, we're not born with knowledge and wisdom. We slowly through life have to acquire knowledge and wisdom. We're technically like a blind person. We don't get to that point until many years later in our life, and I can guarantee you this. You can be 50 years of age and you can be 80 years of age. I've known people who are 70-something, 80-something, and they're still blind as ever. They're still robots, robotically blind. They still don't know right or wrong between what's going on out there and what is right and what is wrong for them. But this is not to be critical of others. This is just to show you that we have to understand the metaphor in the stories, the symbolisms, the symbolic nature of stories. Here, the symbolic nature of stories, which Jesus is explaining, Whether Jesus was a person or not is not this is not a debate where Jesus is a Messiah, not the Messiah, existed, didn't exist, is he just a mystery, not mystery. I'm not talking about that. I'm simply telling you that here a story is presented which is shrouded in mystery and metaphor, and basically means this, that until you open your eyes are shut, meaning you're blind until somebody opens your eyes. Well, in the case of Nehemiah, remember the Ezra, the priest, he spoke to the people listened and they got understanding, they were blind also. Similarly, like here, they were blind. Well, why were they blind? Didn't they have the Torah? Sure. But did they have the understanding? No. So who gave them the understanding? The priests. The priests gave them the understanding what to do. Similarly, here Jesus is explaining that you are blind until your eyes are opened. So, let's come back to Jacob and let's come back to our psalm. I think it's pertinent to come back to our psalm. It says, lie on your bed and meditate. Meditate with what exactly? And hold your shalom, hold your peace. Means that, here is what it means. It means that like Jacob, when Jacob put his head on a stone, he went to sleep, he started to dream. And then he dreamt about the ladder, and the ladder going to heaven. So what does that mean? It means that when you go to your bed, it's a time to imagine. You run your imagination, you connect to God. Hold your shalom means that don't worry about what's happening around you. You know, you might be concerned about maybe there's problems in your life, maybe there's difficulties that can happen in people's lives, maybe you have illnesses, maybe you're worried about healing, maybe you're worried about a job, you don't have a job, other things. You know, all these things can plague you with negativity, and they can plague you with worry. And if you go to bed with worry, you will not resolve your problems. You will remain in sin. What is sin here? Meaning you will miss the mark. Sin here doesn't mean you're a bad person, by the way. It means you'll miss the mark, you won't attain your desire. If your desire is to attain a job, you won't get it because all you're worried about is what's going to happen next. What's going to happen to my disease? How am I going to be healed? How am I going to get my job? If you're constantly thinking like that, you'll miss the mark. So what's the solution? That the psalmist here, the Psalm of David here, and the Torah presents you the solution. Be at peace. So when you go to bed, you should be happy to go to your bed because you're going to meditate. Now you're going to imagine 15 minutes of your life. I'm asking you to do this 15 minutes of your lifetime. You know, your day. 15 minutes from your day. You prepare yourself. You be happy. You're going to bed. You're happy. You're at peace. Make yourself in peace. This is a process, by the way. Make yourself in peace. And then what is it that you want to attain? Is it a job? Is it health-related issue? Is it a relationship? Is it finances? What are you trying to achieve? You must have some desire, some goal. You know, you would know this. I don't have to put words in your mouth. You know what you want. Whether it's a sum of money, whether it's some other desire. You want to move homes, buy a new car, maybe something else. Whatever it is, this is the time to meditate, meaning you imagine on your bed. You keep imagining. You must learn to lie down on your bed in an uncomfortable position. See, Torah doesn't tell you that over here. It won't tell you that. I'm telling you that now because I'm going to give you the understanding now. So you lie on your bed in an uncomfortable position where you cannot sleep quickly. When you lie in an uncomfortable position without able to sleep quickly, you run the imaginative act. If it's a car you want, you keep seeing yourself in the car. You repeat the scene over and over again for 15-20 minutes. But remain in the uncomfortable position so you cannot sleep. And you keep staying in that position and you keep repeating it. And if it's a sum of money you desire, let's say if you desire $1 million in your bank, then you keep seeing the $1 million in your bank. Keep seeing it. Keep repeating the scene. If you're seeing that you're ill, you want to see healing, then keep seeing that you're healed. And hearing a voice. This is how you tell your mind. You hear a voice. Somebody's telling you you're healed. Congratulations. I heard you're healed. And you say, yes, I'm healed. Thank you. God healed me. Praise be to God. Or it might be somebody says to you, hey, congratulations, I heard you got your new house. Yeah, I got my new house. Thank you. You hear that over and over again. Or maybe you go to the bank and you're seeing the bank cashier, the teller. You know, you're asking him to do a transaction, or maybe you're asking him to tell you what's your balance, and he tells you that your balance is X amount of money, $1 million, $10 million, $20 million, whatever it is that you're desiring. And you keep seeing it over and over again. Remember I told you, meditate when you lie on your bed. Just like Jacob, he was connected to the heavens through this ladder. That's an analogy. That's a metaphor. That's the symbolism. You know, we got to a lot of the times we got to look at scriptures through the eyes of metaphor. We do not need to see everything literally all the time. Yeah, sure, there may be a literal interpretation, but other times there is actually a metaphoric interpretation. So just as Jesus said to his disciples, the man didn't sin, neither did his parents, but he was born blind. So he heals him. Means that some teacher comes along and he opens his eyes to the truth. Well, how do I get truth? Robert Millikan was a young lad, and when he was born poor. And one day he locked himself in a room. He shut himself in a room. Remember Jesus' words. Lock yourself in a closet and pray to God, and the unseen God will hear your prayer. This is a similar thing. Robert Millikan locked himself in a room for 18 hours, and he only said one affirmation. He said that I have a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. I'll repeat it again for you. I have a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. He kept saying it over and over and over again for 18 hours. Of course, within those 18 hours, he may have had some water there. He may have been close to the bathroom. He could go to the bathroom, drink some water, but he didn't eat. He fasted. He did exactly what this psalm is saying. Stand, it says, do not sin. It says, meditate when you lie on your bed and hold your shalom. He held his shalom. He knew he was poor at the time. He knew he wanted to be rich. He wanted to be in a better situation, better position. He decided to meditate on his bed, in his room, meaning in his room. And he continuously said one affirmation over and over and over. Somebody else from outside, if he had seen him, he said he's gone mad. Yeah, to other people, you're gone mad. You're insane. But you got to be insane to be wise. You got to be insane to succeed in this life. You got to go to this position. If you don't go to this position, you'll never get to your destination. So you have to be, technically, you have to be mad. I'm not talking about the insanity that, puts you in hospitals. I'm talking about the insanity that says that you're going to have your goal. You're going to have your desire, no matter what. And so you meditate. He only said one affirmation. And maybe you choose an affirmation for yourself. Maybe that affirmation is that everything in my life is perfect. Maybe that's an affirmation for you. Maybe another affirmation might be that I am completely healed and whole. Another one could be, I have $10 million in my bank. It could be an affirmation for you, and you keep repeating it over and over and over and over until it comes to pass. And you know what happened to Robert Millikan? Robert Millikan believed in it so much, because you got to believe in yourself. Your beliefs is what makes you. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Other people may think that you're mad, that you're insane. Don't care about what other people think. You got to believe in yourself that what you believe in is true. Even if you didn't believe in yourself, it will still come true. Robert Millikan became a very important scientist when he grew up. He actually not only earned a good living, but he left wealth for his children. He became rich through some inventions he made later in life, and he left money for his family. So Robert Millikan did get a levy, steady, dependable income, with integrity. So my point is this, that if you were the laziest person in the world, you were a down-out loser in the world, and all you did is you did what Robert Millikan did. You just locked yourself in a room and said, I'm just going to repeat one command. I have a levy, steady, dependable income, consistent integrity, and mutual benefit. That's it, nothing else. I am pretty sure that you'll get somewhere. And if you said yourself, if you locked yourself away from your relatives, because you have to. You can't do this with people around you, always questioning you or what you're doing and why you're doing it. And sometimes you may have to do it in your mind and not openly. You lock yourself away. You put yourself in your room and you say, don't disturb me for the next 10 hours. I don't see you. I'll see you when I see you. And if you do that, and if you said to yourself, and I'm giving you as an example, that I have $1 million in my bank, then $1 million will come to you. And if you don't believe me, prove me wrong. Yeah, go ahead, prove me wrong. And I love it for you to prove me wrong. Because if you did that, what I just told you, you will get what your desire is. And I'm not saying it has to be money. It could be money. It could be healing. It could be a relationship with another person. A marriage. Anything in life. So pick a desire. Pick what you want. And stop messing around with this, that, and the other baloney and running after this person and that person and chasing this negativity and that negativity and running into conspiracy theories. Stop doing all of that. There are many people who do that. They waste their entire existence on what other people are preaching out there, mainly maybe conspiracies, maybe this and maybe that and the third. Listen, you as an individual are not going to change the world into some kind of utopia. You're not going to change corrupt leaders. Because if somebody's bent on corruption, you can't change them. And you don't need to change them. Even if you could, you don't need to change them. Because some people are meant to be. They are meant to do that. That's why they're here. And they have their time. Like Hitler, he had his time to do his evil before he passed on. Then other people, Stalin, they had their time to do their evil before they passed on. And there are many other evil people in this world. They will do their evil before they pass on. But we must focus on ourselves. Focus on yourself. Decide today that you're going to focus on yourself. You're not going to focus on what your president is saying and, oh yeah, the economy will be beautiful. The mortgages will come down. Interest rate will be low. Yeah, keep dreaming. Yeah, maybe in 2024, maybe in 2025 interest rates might start popping down, but until then, they're going to choke most people to death. So don't go there. How about you start to increase your income? How about you start saying, instead of worrying about, oh, how am I going to pay that loan? Instead of worrying about that, how about you start saying that I have $5 million in my bank? Just say that. I have $5 million in my bank. And keep saying it. Be mad about it. Be insane about it. And you don't have to say it out loud. You can say it quietly in your mind without anybody hearing you. I have $5 million in my bank. And 5 million is an example. You can make whatever that number is. I mean, in Florida, I believe it was last week, some man in Florida won the $1.5 billion lottery. Jackpot. $1.5 billion, by the way, I think was the highest payout. Now, after all the taxes and everything is cleared, I think the man will take away, I don't know, 700 million. Maybe after the taxes are held, depending on how he takes it, whether he takes it as an annuity or something else, he could take anywhere between 450 million to $700 million, depending on how they work out his taxes. Okay, half of it he'll take away, about 50%. Roughly, give and take. So my point is this: somebody in America became not a billionaire, but a multimillionaire. And apart from him, it was also reported that several people in America, in different states, they won the $1 million. Because if you get 5 numbers right, either in the Mega Millions or in the Powerball, even if you don't get the 6th number, which is the Powerball or the Mega number, even if you don't get that, you get $1 million prize. So they reported that several people became millionaires from that last week, apart from that one guy getting the big sum. So, well, if he can get it, what's so special about him? Why can't you be a millionaire? So you have to tell that to yourself. I don't need to tell you that. You need to tell that to yourself, that you are as good as that person out there. Yes, you can be a millionaire too. But you got to, even if you don't believe it, there may be something in your mind or something in your being that says, well, maybe you're not worthy, maybe you're not the person to be a millionaire. But forget that even for a second. Forget it. Just repeat the affirmation. Just repeat the affirmation I told you. Keep repeating it. Even if you don't believe it, keep repeating it. It will saturate into your mind. Remember what I told you on your bed. When you lie for your imagination, lie in an uncomfortable position and imagine what you want. And keep repeating that process for 7 to 10 times in that one sitting or one lying down. And then you lie in your comfortable position after the uncomfortable and you fall asleep. And then you wake up the next day, you do the same thing, and you keep doing it until that thing materializes, and it will materialize. And if you didn't like doing that, if you find it too hard, too difficult to do that in your bed, then what's the other alternative? Affirmation. Keep speaking the affirmation day in and day out. Keep speaking it. If you want to keep your focus, maybe you do it on beads. If you don't want to do it on beads, you do it on your fingers. Whatever method you choose, it will come to you. Even if you don't believe it, it will come to you. Because by you robotically repeating one thing, it will come to you. How do you think they brainwash people in the world today? Through media. By keep repeating the same thing over and over again, showing you pictures, negative pictures, and you finally believe it. Tell a lie long enough and people believe it. Now, you're not telling a lie. It may not be true right now, but tomorrow, next week, next month, it will be true. If you're desiring $1 million, it will be true. If you're desiring health, it will be true. If you're desiring relationship, it will be true. In other words, you start with belief. Meditate when you lie on your bed and hold your shalom. Do not worry about tomorrow. Keep in peace. If it's a job you're desiring, then what you should be looking at? You shouldn't be unemployed. If you are unemployed, then you don't know what the hell you're doing. Because you should be looking in your meditation, in your bed, you should be looking that you're shaking hands with your boss, and your boss is telling you that, hey, we want to employ you. You're the person for us. You're the person for our company. That's what you should be hearing. That's what you should be seeing. And you should have your job. And whatever salary you put on your job, you make that salary. In other words, you decide your salary. The government doesn't decide your salary. The government will probably keep you poor for the rest of your life and keep you on handouts. But you decide your salary. What do you want to earn? 100,000, 200,000, 500,000? You decide your salary. Yes, you have that capability. So with that, I'll encourage you to think about what I said and act on it. Don't just think about it and forget it, oh, just another lecture. No, this is not just another lecture. I'm seriously talking to you. This is serious stuff. Start acting on it. Stop living the blind life. Stop living the blind man. Start opening your eyes. Start seeing and start doing. And you will be the man and you will be the woman that you want to be. With that, I say Shabbat Shalom and look forward to the festivals next month, and everything may go well with you. Baruch Hashem. Have a wonderful Sabbath. Shalom, shalom to you.